Hello everyone and welcome to the Off-Road Auxiliary Component Wiring Module by Haley Buff and Peter Klepsig. Our product is the Fuse Relay Electronics LED, also known as FRAN, and is designed to simplify the task of adding accessories and making off-road and restored vehicles street legal by adding blinkers and horn. The Fuse Relay block can be mounted on almost any surface in the vehicle and have the switches and components connected. FRAN will also include the main box, the switch plate and switches, and the wiring for power, ground, and switches. All the components inside the main box will have LEDs connected to show if there is power running through the component. FRAN fills a need in the off-road and restoration marketplace by making wiring for additional components simple and minimizes the potential of fire and other issues while helping the installer understand if power is flowing through the component they are trying to hook up. Here we have our modules. On the top we have our 12-volt battery modules, and on the bottom we have our 12-volt switch power, which is your ignition. It goes through fuses and then through LEDs, and they both go through relays and off to the accessories. Here's the diagram of our device and how it will be used. Here we see that we have all of our power, ground, and switch power going into it on the left-hand side, and our accessories outputting in the top and bottom, as well as our switches in the bottom left. The engineering standard we use is the SEA standard for grounded vehicles. This standard is used for nominal system voltage of 60 volts DC or less in surface vehicle electrical systems. The engineering constraints we had here were based off of the vehicle when it is on and running. So the vehicle can provide between 12 to 13 volts when it is on, and the device needs to be able to handle this amount. Also, when it is on, the device has the ability to pull up to 10 amps, and the components need that much, or could potentially need that much depending on what you have plugged in, so the device needs to be able to handle this amount. FRAN must also be able to fit into small places where to be mounted. The goal is to make FRAN as small as possible so it can be mounted underneath hoods and underneath seats or other small hidden from the eye places in the vehicle. The environmental constraints we have are we want it to be waterproof and perform at 100 degrees Celsius and negative 50 degrees Celsius for all terrain use. More about FRAN is that the components inside the main box will have LEDs connected to show if there's power running through the component. For example, there will be a green LED after the 12-volt source is put through a fuse to show if power is flowing through the fuse. No other product on the market keeps wiring to a minimum with visual troubleshooting indicators. On the right, we have a close-up of the chip that is used. Is an XOR gate chip with 4 XOR gates in it, and is used for the logic of the LEDs. An interesting fact is that FRAN will be modular, meaning you can attach a new module without running new wires. No other product on the market has that capability in an analog system as of yet. The expansion for FRAN is called FRAN, which is the Fuse Relay Auxiliary Expansion, and can also be used independently. Use up to 4 accessories for each FRAN module, and more modules can be connected for more accessories. FRAN is a universal module for any vehicle, where FRAN is for components that uses a blink and a horn. The uses for FRAN range from lights, radios, dash cams, chargers, additional backseat screens, and any other item that uses power directly from the battery or from the ignition. Here's the demonstration. On the left-hand side, we have FRAN. On the right-hand side, we have FRAN. It is already hooked up here with the cables going from the ground, battery, and the ignition, as well as the accessories hooked up. When the car is turned on, you have access to your blinking components and your horn to make it street legal. When the user wants to use the other accessory ports on FRAN, they must connect their master switch. When it is on, they have access to the top half of the board and the red troubleshooting LEDs. As you can see here, when the switch is pressed, the LED goes from red to green. This shows the component is on and working and the device is outputting power. If the LEDs do not change, you know where the fault is, and more information is inside the manual. If the user wants to add the expansion module, all they must do is connect one wire between FRAN and FRAN to add a FRAN module and have it instantly powered up, as you can see here. You still have access to the components you had access to on FRAN, as well as additional components over on FRAN. Here we have a radio and a stereo to show the different uses, but other components could be added as well as